A mysterious silver-eyed stranger appears under the moonlight, binding a young artist to a love that is as dangerous as it is irresistible. Will Levi survive the pull of the moon, or will their forbidden bond consume them both? Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment to follow every twist of this supernatural romance. The salty tang of the sea filled Levi's lungs as he walked along the deserted beach, the sand cool beneath his bare feet. Night had already draped its velvet cloak across the sky, and a crescent moon hung low, casting a silver glow over the rolling waves. Levi had always loved nights like this, quiet, infinite, with the kind of peace that allowed his thoughts to breathe. Yet tonight, there was a peculiar restlessness in the air, a subtle shiver that traveled across his skin, as if the world were holding its breath. Levi clutched his sketchbook tightly under his arm, the leather cover worn soft from countless nights spent drawing under the stars. His fingers itched for a pencil, for the comfort of lines flowing across paper. He had always found solace in capturing the world around him, the way the moonlight scattered across the water, the sharp silhouettes of driftwood, the way shadows danced along the sand. But tonight he felt as though the world itself was watching, waiting for something extraordinary to appear. He reached the end of a small jetty that jutted into the sea and sat down, setting his sketchbook on his knees. The waves lapped gently against the wooden posts, their rhythmic sound almost hypnotic. He dipped his pencil into the scene before him, sketching the glimmer of moonlight on the water, the subtle curve of the horizon, and the distant outline of rocks jutting from the shore. Yet no matter how hard he tried, the lines felt empty, lifeless, lacking the spark he needed. And then he saw him. At first, Levi thought it was a trick of the light, a reflection of the moon on the waves. But the figure standing a few meters away was solid, impossibly still, yet undeniably alive. He was tall, his frame slender yet commanding, his hair like strands of silver illuminated by the moon. And his eyes, Levi's breath caught in his throat, were pale blue, sharp and piercing, shining with a strange inner light. The figure's gaze met Levi's, and Levi felt an almost magnetic pull, an urge to step closer despite the chill in the night air. His pencil wavered in his hand. He had never felt anything like it before, not even in the quiet solitude of his studio, where imagination was his only companion. There was something about this stranger, something that stirred a longing deep in Levi's chest, something he couldn't name. "Who are you?" Levi asked, his voice barely above a whisper. The words sounded strange even to him, as though he had been holding them back for years without realizing it. The figure tilted his head slightly, a subtle, graceful movement that seemed to echo the sway of the waves. "I am Kael," he said, his voice low and calm like a breeze brushing over the water. "And you are Levi." Levi froze. How did he know his name? Panic flickered across his chest, but it was quickly replaced by curiosity, an almost dangerous curiosity that made his pulse race. How do you know me?" Kael's lips curved in a faint, enigmatic smile, and for a moment, Levi could almost believe he was a hallucination, a dream conjured by the moonlight. "I've known of you," Kael replied softly. Waiting, for you to notice me as I notice you." Levi's heart thudded against his ribs. He wanted to ask more, to demand answers, but the words stuck in his throat. Instead, he lowered his pencil and simply stared, taking in the ethereal glow that seemed to radiate from Kael, illuminating the sand around him in a silvery halo. There was something impossibly delicate about him, yet also something ancient, as though he carried centuries in his gaze. The wind shifted and Kael stepped closer, his movements fluid, almost gliding across the sand. Levi's breath hitched. Every instinct in his body screamed to flee, to protect himself from the magnetic pull, yet another part, a reckless, desperate part, urged him forward. He wanted to reach out, to touch, to know. "You feel it too, don't you?" Kael asked, his voice a soft murmur that seemed to wrap around Levi like a warm cloak. "The call of the moon?" Levi blinked, confused. "The moon?" he repeated. He had always loved the moon, had always drawn it, had always felt a strange comfort beneath its pale light, but a call? He shook his head. I don't understand." Kael's eyes softened and he crouched slightly, bringing his face closer to Levi's. "Not yet. But you will. There is a bond, Levi, a thread that ties us together. You have always felt it even if you could not name it. The moon, it reaches out to you as I do." The words were like a whisper of wind over open water, stirring something deep within Levi. A shiver ran down his spine, a mixture of fear and desire that he couldn't distinguish. He wanted to step back, to refuse the pull, but he couldn't. His body betrayed him, leaning forward ever so slightly, drawn by the mystery of this silver-haired man. Kael reached out, just barely brushing Levi's hand with his fingers. The contact sent a shock through Levi's veins, as though lightning had danced along his skin. He gasped, his pencil clattering to the sand. Kael's touch was soft, fleeting, but it left an imprint that lingered long after his fingers had withdrawn. "Why me?" Levi whispered, his voice trembling. "Why now?" Kael's gaze lingered on him, intense and unwavering. "Because you are ready. You see the world differently, Levi. You feel differently. You are attuned. And the moon has chosen you." Levi's chest tightened. Chosen? The word felt heavy, sacred, almost terrifying. He wanted to argue, to deny it, but the truth was undeniable. He had always felt a strange restlessness, a yearning that no sketch, no painting, no solitude could ever satisfy. And now, in the presence of this enigmatic being, he understood that it had been calling to him all along. The wind rose suddenly, whipping through Levi's hair and tugging at the hem of his shirt. The moon emerged fully from behind a drifting cloud, bathing the beach in its ethereal silver light. Kael stepped fully into the glow, and Levi felt his heartbeat accelerate. The air between them seemed charged, as if the very night held its breath. And then, as quickly as he had appeared, Kael began to fade. Levi's eyes widened in panic. "Wait!" he cried, reaching out, but Kael's form wavered like mist in the moonlight. Kael's voice, soft and distant, drifted to him. "Soon, Levi, soon you will understand. But not yet." And with that, Kael vanished, leaving Levi alone on the sand, his chest heaving, his fingers brushing against the cool, empty air where Kael had stood. The waves continued their eternal rhythm, indifferent to the strange, electric moment that had passed. Levi sank to the sand, his sketchbook forgotten, his pencil broken in his grip. He could still feel the ghost of Kael's touch, the faint pulse of energy that lingered where his hand had been. He pressed his palm to his chest as if to anchor himself to reality. The moon hung high in the sky, casting its silver light over the empty beach, and Levi knew with a certainty that was both terrifying and exhilarating, that his life had changed forever. There was no turning back, not now, not after feeling the presence of someone who was at once real and impossible, someone who had brushed against his soul and left it trembling. He rose unsteadily to his feet, clutching his sketchbook. His pencil, though broken, felt suddenly alive in his hand, as though the world itself had been transformed, waiting for him to capture it. And yet, no matter how he tried to draw, the page remained blank, for no lines could hold what he had seen, what he had felt. Levi gazed up at the moon, its crescent light now bright and commanding. Somewhere out there Kael was waiting, watching. And Levi understood, with a strange, haunting clarity, that their meeting was only the beginning. He whispered into the night, a promise more than a question, "I'll find you again, Kael. I don't know how, but I will." And the moon seemed to shimmer in response, as if acknowledging the vow, casting its silver light over the empty beach, and over the heart of a young artist who had just glimpsed the impossible. Levi could barely sleep that night. The memory of Kael's silver hair shimmering under the moonlight, the piercing blue of his eyes, and the ghost of his touch clung to Levi's mind like a fevered dream. He tossed and turned in his small coastal apartment, the sound of the waves crashing against the shore below echoing in his ears. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw Kael standing on the beach, waiting, watching, as if he had been summoned from some other world just for him. By the time the first hints of dawn touched the horizon, Levi had given up on sleep entirely. He dressed quickly, slipped his sketchbook under his arm and wandered toward the beach. Perhaps, he thought, if he returned to the place where they had first met, he could find answers, or at least a trace of the mysterious stranger who had claimed his thoughts so completely. The beach was quiet, empty except for the scattered driftwood and the faint footprints Levi left behind. He walked slowly, scanning the sand, half hoping he would see Kael's figure, half dreading that he wouldn't. As he reached the small jetty where they had first met, a strange chill ran through the air. The sky was a pale gray, the sun yet to rise, but Levi felt the unmistakable brush of something otherworldly, something alive, as if the night itself had left a trace. And then he heard it, a soft whisper carried on the wind, almost too faint to hear. "Levi." His heart skipped a beat. He turned sharply, but the beach was empty. Only the waves answered him, rolling endlessly onto the shore. His pulse quickened. Was he imagining it? A trick of the wind? "Levi?" The voice repeated, stronger this time, like a thread tugging at the edge of his consciousness. He froze, listening. It was Kael. He was here. Somehow, impossibly, he was here. Levi's legs moved before his mind could catch up. He followed the voice to a narrow stretch of sand near the rocks, where moonlight, or what little remained of it before dawn, caught on something pale and silver. And there he was, Kael, standing as though he had always belonged to the shadows, his hair shimmering even in the dim light. "Kael?" Levi breathed, the word escaping like a prayer. How are you here?" Kael's lips curved in that faint, enigmatic smile Levi couldn't forget. "The moon permits it," he said softly. "For now. But you must understand, Levi, this world is not fully mine. I am bound to it only by the light of the moon. The sun would strip me away." Levi's chest tightened. "Bound to the moon?" he asked. He didn't fully understand, but something in Kael's voice, the urgency, the quiet warning, made him believe every word. What are you?" Kael's gaze softened, a vulnerability slipping through the veil of mystery. "Something older than time," he murmured. "Something that walks in shadow and moonlight but cannot touch the day. And yet, I've never stayed, never lingered, until you." Levi's fingers itched to reach out, to touch, to anchor this impossible being to the real world. But he held himself back, terrified that the slightest contact might break the fragile boundary between them. "Why me?" he whispered. "Why now?" Kael took a step closer, and Levi felt the familiar pull, the same magnetic force that had drawn him the first night. "Because you are ready. Because your heart recognizes what your eyes cannot yet see. You are attuned, Levi. The moon called you long before I did." The words made Levi shiver, but it was not from cold. He had always felt an unnameable emptiness, a longing that had followed him through quiet nights and empty streets. And now he realized it had been for this, for Kael, for the impossible connection that neither time nor reason could explain. Levi swallowed hard, his voice barely audible. "And if I feel the same? If I want this?" Kael's eyes held his deep pools of silver blue light that seemed to pierce through the layers of doubt and fear. "Then you must be careful. You must understand the danger. Love me too much and you could be consumed by the moon's power, just as I could be. We are bound together, yes, but only under certain conditions." "What conditions?" Levi asked, his curiosity overcoming the fear that gripped him. Kael raised a hand, letting it hover just above Levi's. "The moon dictates the limits of my existence. When it is full, I am at my strongest and the pull between us is heightened. But when it wanes, I weaken. If you were to come too close in the wrong time, you could be hurt, Levi. Or worse." Levi's pulse raced. "Hurt? Worse?" The idea terrified him, but the truth was undeniable. He was already drawn in, already caught in the gravity of Kael's presence. He couldn't look away, couldn't stop the longing building in his chest. Kael stepped closer, the air around him shimmering faintly, like heat rising from sand. Levi felt it then, a warmth, a pulse almost like a heartbeat against his own. The energy was intoxicating, almost unbearable, yet Levi's mind was clear enough to know the risk. I don't care," he said quietly, his voice firm despite the tremor in his chest. "I want to know you. I want to understand. Even if it's dangerous." Kael's lips curved into a small, approving smile. "Brave?" he murmured. "Or foolish? Perhaps both." Levi's fingers tightened around his sketchbook. He had come here expecting solitude, expecting the quiet of night and the comfort of his art. Instead, he had found something he could neither define nor escape, a being who had stepped out of legend and moonlight, who had touched his soul in ways he could not yet comprehend. Kael extended his hand again, slower this time, allowing Levi to reach for it if he dared. Levi hesitated, then took it, the contact sending a shock of warmth through his veins. Kael's hand was cold, almost otherworldly, yet the connection felt alive, electric, as if something in the universe itself had shifted. "You are ready," Kael whispered, his voice a blend of reverence and warning. "Ready to see what lies beneath the moon's claim. But remember, Levi, some things once seen cannot be unseen. Some truths once known cannot be forgotten." Levi nodded, swallowing the lump in his throat. "I understand," he said, though he had no idea if he truly did. All he knew was that he could not turn away, could not walk back into the ordinary life that had once felt safe. Something extraordinary had entered his world and he could not, and would not, ignore it. The moon hung low in the sky, silver and luminous, casting its light over the beach and over the pair of young men bound by fate. Levi's heart pounded, every beat echoing the unspoken promise between them. This was only the beginning, he realized. Only the first night in a story that would stretch far beyond the limits of reason, time, and even life itself. Kael released Levi's hand gently, stepping back into the shadows. Wait for me, he said, his voice drifting like mist. And when the moon rises again I will return. You must be patient, Levi. You must be ready. Levi watched him fade, his fingers brushing the empty air where Kael had stood. The beach was silent once more, save for the rolling of the waves. And yet Levi did not feel alone. He felt called. The moon had chosen him and Kael had marked him. He pressed his hand to his chest, closing his eyes, and whispered a vow to the night. I'll wait. And I'll be ready. No matter what it takes. The wind picked up, carrying with it the faintest echo of Kael's voice, and Levi smiled through the ache of longing. The moon had touched his life and now he would follow wherever it led, even into the impossible. The night of the full moon arrived with a strange intensity, as if the universe itself were holding its breath. Levi could feel it the moment he stepped outside. The air was charged, electric, vibrating with an energy he could almost touch. The waves glistened under the bright, silvery light, each crest sparkling like shards of glass. Even the wind seemed alive, whispering through the trees and brushing over Levi's skin with a faint, teasing chill. Levi's heart thudded wildly in his chest as he walked toward the beach, sketchbook clutched loosely under his arm. He had spent the day in restless anticipation, unable to focus on anything else. Every shadow, every rustle of leaves, made him think Kael might appear at any moment. And deep down he hoped he would. He needed him. The moment he reached the jetty, Levi felt it, the pull, stronger than ever, tugging him forward like gravity had shifted. And there, bathed in the full brilliance of the moon, was Kael. His silver hair shimmered like starlight, and his pale blue eyes glowed with an intensity that made Levi's breath catch. Kael? Levi whispered, his voice trembling with equal parts awe and longing. Kael's gaze softened as he stepped closer, his movements fluid and ethereal. Levi, he murmured. His voice was like silk brushing over raw nerves, comforting and electric at the same time. Tonight, the moon is at its peak. I am at my strongest, and so is the pull between us. Levi's stomach fluttered. He had felt the connection before, the magnetic tug of Kael's presence, but tonight it was overwhelming. His hand brushed instinctively over his chest, trying to calm the rapid beat of his heart. I don't care about the danger, he admitted, his voice barely audible. I want to be with you. Kael's lips curved into a faint smile, tinged with something unreadable, warning or longing, Levi could not tell. And I want you, Levi. More than I have wanted anyone, in centuries. The words sent a shiver down Levi's spine, and before he could stop himself, he took a step closer, closing the distance. Kael did the same and the space between them dissolved. Levi could see every detail of Kael's face under the moonlight, the delicate arch of his brows, the faint curve of his lips, the way his eyes seemed to hold entire galaxies. Their hands found each other instinctively, fingers intertwining. The touch was electric, a pulse of energy that made Levi gasp. Kael's other hand rose to cup Levi's cheek, thumb brushing softly against the skin. Levi leaned into the touch, closing his eyes, letting the warmth and light of Kael's presence envelop him. You feel it too, Kael whispered, leaning closer. The moon's claim, the bond between us. It grows stronger every moment. Levi nodded, unable to speak. He could feel it deep in his chest. A connection that was not only emotional but physical, a magnetic force that made every nerve in his body hum. He wanted to reach further, to bridge the distance completely, and Kael seemed to sense it, pressing gently against him, their bodies almost touching. Then, as if guided by an invisible rhythm, Kael closed the remaining distance and their lips met. The kiss was soft at first, exploratory, testing the boundaries of a connection that neither fully understood. But it quickly deepened, urgent and consuming, fueled by weeks of longing and the strange, intoxicating pull of the moonlight. Levi's hands clutched at Kael's shoulders, pulling him closer, while Kael's hands roamed gently over Levi's back, sending shivers racing along his spine. The world seemed to narrow to just the two of them, the waves and the brilliant moon above. Time lost meaning. Every heartbeat, every gasp, every touch was amplified, heightened by the supernatural energy surrounding them. Levi felt himself trembling, not from fear, but from the intensity of emotion and desire he had never known could exist. Kael broke the kiss slightly, forehead resting against Levi's, eyes glittering with an almost feral light. You must be careful, he warned softly, though the tremor in his voice betrayed his own longing. If we lose ourselves to the moon, if the sun rises while we are like this, the consequences, they would be dangerous. Levi shivered but shook his head. I don't care, he said, voice firm despite the quiver of excitement in his chest. I want this. I want you. Kael's gaze softened, filled with a mixture of relief and vulnerability. He pressed a gentle kiss to Levi's temple, then to his lips again, slower this time, savoring the moment as if memorizing every sensation. Then we are bound together for tonight at least, Kael murmured. Under the full moon our connection is strongest. But you must remember, it will not last forever. Levi's hands ran through Kael's silver hair, feeling the silky strands against his fingers. I don't care about forever, he whispered. I only care about now, about this, about you. The moonlight bathed them, silver and surreal, and Levi felt as if the world had narrowed to just the two of them in the night. Every fear, every doubt faded under the intensity of their bond. Kael pulled him close again, their bodies aligned, hearts racing in sync with the pulsing energy of the moon above. 4 hours they stood there wrapped in each other's embrace, exploring the strange, intoxicating connection that neither fully understood. Levi's sketchbook lay forgotten on the sand, the pencil broken, but it no longer mattered. The art he had sought in solitude had been found in the person standing before him. Kael, luminous and impossible, bound by the moon yet entirely alive in his arms. As the night deepened, the pull of the moon grew even stronger. Levi could feel it coursing through his veins, an almost physical pressure urging him closer to Kael, amplifying every emotion, every desire. Kael's lips met his again, softer this time, almost reverent, as if holding Levi in his arms was the most sacred act in the universe. You belong to me tonight, Kael whispered, his breath warm against Levi's ear. And I to you. But remember, when the moon fades so too will this, if we are not careful. Levi pressed his forehead against Kael's, closing his eyes and savoring the moment. Then we'll make tonight count, he murmured. Every second of it. I don't care what comes after. I only care about us right now. And for that night, under the full radiant moon, Levi and Kael surrendered to the impossible, consuming power of the bond that had drawn them together. The waves rolled endlessly onto the shore, the wind whispered secrets through the trees, and the moon bore silent witness to a love both dangerous and beautiful, fleeting and eternal, under its silver claim. As the first hints of dawn threatened to spill across the horizon, Kael pulled back slightly, just enough to catch his breath. Levi's hand remained in his, fingers intertwined, a silent promise of what they had shared. You must rest, Kael said softly. The sun will rise soon and I cannot remain once it does. But know this, Levi, you have awakened something in me that centuries could not touch. And I will find you again. Always. Levi nodded, a lump in his throat. I'll wait, he whispered. I'll wait for every moon, every night, every moment. Kael gave him a faint smile, pressing one last kiss to Levi's lips before fading like mist, leaving only the lingering warmth and the soft echo of his voice. The full moon continued to shine, radiant and unforgiving, and Levi stood alone on the beach, heart racing, every nerve alive, knowing that his life, and his heart, had been irrevocably claimed. The first hints of dawn painted the horizon in pale streaks of pink and gold, and Levi felt an ache in his chest he had never known before. The night had been intoxicating, magical and terrifying all at once, but now the inevitability of the sun's rise pressed down on him like a weight. He walked along the beach, the sand cool beneath his feet, searching for Kael. Kael had returned last night, and they had shared hours that seemed to stretch beyond time itself. Every touch, every whispered word, every stolen kiss seared into Levi's memory. But with the sun climbing higher, Levi knew that Kael's existence in the world was slipping away. The moon's light was fading and with it, the being Levi had come to love. Kael? Levi whispered, voice trembling. Please, don't leave me. Kael emerged from the shadows, silver hair catching the dim light of the early dawn. His pale blue eyes were softer now, tinged with sorrow. Levi could see the conflict waging inside him, the pull of the sun threatening to tear him away and yet, the longing in his gaze for Levi. The sun, it comes, Kael said quietly as though speaking the truth aloud made it hurt more. Once it rises fully I cannot remain. Levi, this is the consequence of our bond. Levi shook his head, stepping closer. I don't care. I don't care about danger or consequences. I love you. I need you. You can't just vanish, please, Kael. Kael's lips pressed together tightly. He raised a hand, hesitating before brushing it gently across Levi's cheek. I want to stay, Levi. More than I have ever wanted anything, but the light of the sun would destroy me. And I cannot risk hurting you. Levi's heart clenched. Hurting me? He asked, voice breaking. What could be worse than losing you? Kael lowered his gaze, eyes darkening with a mix of longing and fear. The moon binds me to this world and the sun will take me back. If I remain, if I defy it, you could be consumed by the same force that holds me. You could lose yourself, or worse. Levi stepped forward, closing the distance between them. Then we face it together. I don't care about the risk. I only care about being with you, even if it's for one more moment. Kael's eyes softened, the internal struggle evident in the flicker of silver-blue light. You are reckless, he whispered. Brave, and foolish. But I cannot resist you. The wind picked up, swirling around them, tugging at Levi's hair and clothing. Kael reached for him, hands trembling slightly as they touched Levi's shoulders. Levi leaned into him, holding him close, as though the simple act of contact could anchor Kael to the world a little longer. For a moment, silence fell between them, broken only by the sound of waves crashing against the shore. The rising sun cast long streaks of light across the beach, and Levi could see the faint shimmer of Kael's form beginning to fade at the edges. No, Levi whispered fiercely. I won't let you go. Not now. Not ever. Kael's lips brushed against Levi's forehead, a tender kiss filled with regret and longing. You must understand, Levi. I cannot stay once the sun fully rises. But I can leave a part of me with you. A bond that will endure even in the daylight, even when I am gone. Levi shook his head, tears welling in his eyes. I don't want part of you. I want all of you. I want you to stay, Kael. Kael cupped Levi's face in his hands and Levi leaned into his touch. Then we fight, Kael said, determination threading through his voice. Together. Against the rules that bind me. Against the forces that would pull me away. But it will not be easy, and the cost may be great. Levi gripped Kael's hands, refusing to let go. I don't care about the cost. I want this. I want you. Whatever it takes. Kael's chest rose and fell rapidly. He drew Levi into a fierce, desperate embrace, pressing their foreheads together. The energy between them was palpable, a current of moonlight and emotion that seemed to make the very air shimmer. Then we stand as one, Kael whispered. Hold on to me, Levi. Don't let go. Not for a moment. The sun's light crept higher, brushing the edges of the beach with gold, and Levi could feel the pull, the tension between Kael's fading presence and the rising day. The world seemed to tilt, the energy around them crackling with danger and desire. Kael pressed a final lingering kiss to Levi's lips, and Levi responded with all the love, longing, and desperation he felt. The moonlight that still clung to them danced around their entwined bodies, giving them a fragile shield against the approaching daylight. Levi, Kael murmured, voice strained. Promise me you will wait. Always. I will return with every moon, with every night. And if you hold on, if you keep me in your heart, we will find each other again. Levi's tears fell freely now. I promise, he whispered. I will wait for every moon. I will hold on. No matter what. Kael's form began to shimmer more intensely as the sun broke fully over the horizon, spilling its golden light across the sand. For a heartbeat, Levi thought he would lose him entirely. Panic clawed at his chest, threatening to overwhelm him. But Kael held on, leaning close, whispering against Levi's ear, I am yours, under the moon's claim. And the moon will always bring me back. Then, slowly, Kael stepped back, fading into the early light, leaving Levi standing alone on the beach. The warmth of his touch lingered, and the memory of his presence burned into Levi's skin and soul. Levi fell to his knees in the sand, pressing his hands over his heart, feeling both the ache of absence and the steady rhythm of the promise they had made. The beach was quiet now, the waves relentless and eternal. The sun rose fully, golden and unforgiving, washing the world in daylight. Yet Levi did not despair. The bond he shared with Kael was unbroken, suspended in the fragile space between moonlight and memory. Levi rose slowly, brushing sand from his clothes, and gazed at the horizon where the first hints of moonlight still lingered faintly. I'll wait for you, he whispered again, voice steady, determined. I'll wait for every night you can return. And when you do, we'll face the world together. He opened his sketchbook, fingers trembling, and began to draw, not the moon, not the waves, not the empty beach, but Kael. Every line captured the essence of him. The silver hair, the piercing eyes, the ethereal presence that had transformed Levi's life forever. With each stroke, he felt closer to Kael, as though drawing him into existence would anchor him in the world, even while the sun ruled the sky. The hours passed slowly. Levi remained on the beach, waiting, sketching, remembering. And as the day unfolded, he felt a quiet certainty settle in his chest. Their love was dangerous, fleeting and impossible, but it was theirs. The moon would rise again and with it, Kael would return. Until then, Levi would hold the memory, the bond and the promise close. He had been chosen and he had chosen in return. Under the moon's claim, their hearts were bound, unbreakable even by time, space or light. And when the moon returned, so too would the love that had altered Levi's life forever.